In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to build one of these 28-inch Gladiator garage cabinets in about 10 minutes. So far I've built 8 of them, and I went from about a half hour on the first one down to about 10 minutes on the last one. There's a couple little tips and tricks I'm going to show you along the way. So let's get started. First, you can cut this box open right around the top. There's actually dotted lines and some scissor marks. Don't be afraid you're going to cut the cabinet or scratch the cabinet. It's very well protected. So you go about a 1/4 inch in from the ends. Now it shows the dotted lines going all the way around the back side, but I just cut 3 sides. That way it gives you kind of a flap so that you can throw some more garbage in this box. Close the flap, tape it up, throw it in the garbage, do whatever you want to do with it instead of breaking it all the way down. Right away at the top, got your instructions, and you have this hardware pack. Now, for some reason, and it's nice that they did this, you're going to have one of these screws left over and one of these as well. Maybe they figured people are going to lose them, so let's put an extra one in there. But that's pretty cool. And then you're going to take your doors out. And I set these off to the side because if you're going to mount this on the wall, I would put the doors on last just so the cabinet's not so heavy when you lift it up to mount it. Bracket here is going to mount on the back side if you're going to mount to the wall with their wall mounting system. I just screwed my cabinet straight to the wall, so I don't use this piece, but that's what this is for. This panel here you're going to want to keep out. It's going to have these extrusions on it, and that's going to be one of the side pieces. The shelves, they're all going to have holes on one side and finished on this side. So you can set the shelves aside for now too. Now this shelf has the 2 magnets, and if you're only going to put one shelf in your cabinets, you're going to want to use this one because the other one does not have magnets on it, so it won't keep your door shut. Just remember, if you're going to do one shelf in your cabinets, use the one with the magnets. This is another side piece, so we're going to want to keep this one out. You can tell the side pieces because of the extruded metal. And this is actually going to be the bottom of the cabinet. It's going to have the Gladiator logo, and it's going to have this finished cable cut out. In case you want to run electrical cables through it, it's going to run through here. And the last piece is in the box, or the back side of the cabinet. We'll set those aside now. Throw all this foam back in here. I've built some of the 36-inch cabinets, and they build a little better upside down or be face down. Now these little cabinets, it's better to build them face side up, just because most of the holes are symmetrical, and you can put these together backwards, upside down, wrong side on the other side, and then you'll have to take it all back apart. The 36-inch cabinets are not symmetrical, so you can only put them together one way. So I like to start with the Gladiator logo towards me, and then either one of these sides will work. You just want to make sure that the finished side is facing you, and not the side with the extrusions right here. These are going to be towards the back. We'll put this one here on two. Finish side, it's going towards you. We'll cut open the hardware pack. And one note, if you're going to screw these directly to your wall, you're not going to need this hardware here. That's only for mounting that back bracket if you're going to mount it on their wall mounting system. So I'm just going to leave these in here just so they don't get scattered around. So the only tools you're really going to need are the Allen wrench that's provided. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver, a tape measure, and like you already saw, something to cut the box open with. Now the flaps on that box are glued really well, so don't try to tear the flap open, it'll just come apart in pieces. So let's get started on the assembly. Now, you might think this is just gonna come right together, which it does. But if you notice, on the end of here, there's these little tabs. These little tabs are gonna slide into the extrusions on the bottom of this panel. So you actually kind of start like this and slide the side down onto the bottom. You're going to notice that the tab goes right up inside that extrusion. Then you're going to use 4 of the larger screws to assemble this side. There's going to be 2 on each corner, front and back. And you're going to leave all the screws in this entire cabinet loose. Just bring them down until it touches the sheet metal. Don't tighten them firm. You don't need to do a hand tight, just so it touches the sheet metal. Because we're going to square the cabinet up later. Do the same thing with this side. Just make sure you have a finished side here and here, and that you don't have it reversed with this extruded side. So like I said, this is all symmetrical. You can actually put this side on wrong because all the holes are going to line up no matter how you put it on there. And once again, make sure these tabs slide up into the extrusions. If you slide this together and this just falls over, I can tell you right now that one of the extrusions you don't have the tab into. If you put it on there together properly, it should stay there by itself. So at this point we're ready to put the top on. And I'm not going to flip it over and put the screws on the back side of the bottom. I'm just going to spin it around, get all the screws on one side, then flip it over. The top is the same way. You can actually put this in the wrong way. An easy way to tell, you're going to want all of these holes to the back side. Finished side is going to go to the front. And this one is just a hair trickier because you're trying to line up 4 tabs at one time. So it's kind of easiest, don't push it in all the way on one side, just leave it about halfway in, and then it's a little bit easier to get the other side, just like that. Same thing with no screws in here. This shouldn't fall out if all 4 of your tabs are locked in place. Now we're going to flip it over and assemble the back section. Go ahead and put in the remaining 8 corner screws. Okay, like I said earlier, you're going to be left with one of those larger screws. So if you drop one, lose one, strip one out, whatever, you're going to have one extra. Now we're going to put the back panels on, and it's important to put the panel on first that goes towards this side, and I'll show you why. Well, the panel you're going to put on first is probably going to have this Gladiator sticker, but more importantly, to figure out which one goes on first, it's going to have the 3 tabs here at the top, and that's what's going to lock into these rectangle cutouts. Now, you want to make sure that the tabs are completely broke out. Some of the ones that I've done, the tab was not broke out all the way, so I just had to push on it a little bit. And then these tabs here, you have 4 of them, 2 on this side, 2 on the other. Make sure that they're either flat or down. Make sure that they're not pointing up in this direction or they're going to miss going into their slot. So I just push them down a little bit because it's better to be down than up at all. And then you're going to put this panel in and make sure that all of these tabs are just above the extruded slots. And then push the panel in this direction, just a little ways, about halfway down, and then you got to make sure that these 3 go into their extruded slots. And for some reason this, you might be able to see this gap. For some reason it's pointed up this way. Push it down, and then squeeze like this. So push down and squeeze in. If you don't, one of these, I guarantee you, will pop up over the slot that they're supposed to be into. So double check to make sure these are all in their right location. And you can get your fingernail under there and lift up on this, and you shouldn't be able to pull it up. If you missed one of the slots, you'll be able to pull it up and tell which one you missed easily. Then go back and double check the other 4 to make sure that that tang is into the slot. There. That's why I push these little tangs down because they will ride right up over this extruded slot really easily. So this one's securely fastened. Now you can put on the bottom panel. You cannot put this panel on and then this one. This one has to go on first. And the label on the back of this one is P4, but you just want to make sure it has the tabs at this end. And the main difference between this one and this one is this one has tabs, this one has the holes. The holes are going to be towards you. Once again, make sure these little tangs, or tabs, whatever you want to call them, push them down just a little bit. And then kind of push down and slide this way so the tabs go inside the extruded slots. And it's also going to go underneath the panel that you just put in. Make sure it doesn't go over top. It's going to go underneath, and then you're going to, these two screws are going to go in right here. If this is on top of here, it won't screw together. Just like that. Now we can take all the leftover smaller Phillips head screws, and those are all going to go in this back side. You should have some screws left because that's what's going to attach the door. Just a reminder, do not tighten these. Just bring them down until they touch the sheet metal, leave them loose. So once you have all the screws in place, they're not tight, we're going to make sure that the cabinet is square. And that's why we need a tape measure. So what you do, measure from corner to corner, and you're going to want the distance to be equal. So I have 39.5 inches from this corner. You want to make sure that this corner is exactly the same. And this one is exact. The last three I did were about an 1/8 inch on a square. So let's say this is 39.5, this is 39 5/8. So this side is longer. What you want to do is just give this a little squeeze, not much at all, and then recheck it. So whatever side is longer, just bring it in a little bit until corner to corner is exactly the same. That way you know this is perfectly square. Once you have this side square, tighten down all your screws. And I go about a 1/4 turn past tight. So it's just getting tight. I go about a 1/4 of a turn. If you really hog down on these, you'll strip them out really easily. Especially these two right here and these three right here. These not so much. You can give them a little more torque to get them tight, but be careful with the Phillips head screws because they will strip very easily. So I'll show you what I mean. So right there, just with 2 fingers, I feel it get a little tight. Right there, maybe a 1/4 turn, 1/2 turn tops. Go ahead and tighten all of your screws. And once you got the back side all nice and tight, we're going to flip it over to the front side, and we're going to check the corner to corner squareness as well. So on this side here, I have 39 and 3/8 this way, 39 and 5/8 this way. Now, what causes that is maybe your table's not perfectly flat, but all you have to do, give it a little squeeze on the long end, recheck it. So it came in a little bit. It needs to move about another 1/16. So I think I'm going to tighten the screws just a little bit so that when I squeeze it in, the screws actually hold it in place. I'm just tightening them a little bit because I think when I squeeze it in, it's just going back to its last location. I'm at 39 and 7/16 there, and probably 39 and 9/16 there. This might be a little anal, but if you got the time, you might as well do it right and make them square. So this is the long side. I'll just give it a little squeeze. 39.5. It should be 39.5. Exactly. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten down the 8 screws on the front side. Now we know cabinet's good and square. Go ahead and stand it up. So now is the time, if you're going to mount it on the wall, mount it right now so that you don't have the shelf weight and the door weight. And so you either use the bracket that they provide, and I believe it hangs on like a bar or something, I'm not sure. But otherwise, there is some holes across the top and across the bottom to screw it to the wall, which is how I did it because I want it flat against the wall. I don't want it sticking out the width of that mounting bar. So let's say you have it mounted on the wall, however you're going to do it. I'm only going to put one shelf in it. And remember, if you only use one shelf, use the shelf with the magnets. And the way these shelves work, real similar to how we put the top and bottom together. These tabs or tangs are going to slide into the extrusions. Just like that. Pops into place super easy. So now we're going to mount the doors. And to mount the doors, you're going to put one screw in the bottom, one screw in the top, because the hinge on the door does have a keyhole and it will support itself. Do not put the screws in the middle yet. Thread these screws in about halfway. Now when you have your door, if the doors do go on a certain way, you want the handle towards the bottom. So I'm going to mount this one here on the left side. The plastic is open at the top. All you do is just slide it out. And then the hinge on all mine are rotated to the front. Just to straighten out the hinge. Remember I showed you these hinges are keyhole. line that up on your top and bottom screw and let it hang there just like that. Then you can install your 2 middle screws. Now I'm just going to snug these down for now, but right now your hinge is resting on the bottom, so the gap at the top and the bottom is going to be off. If you just lift your door up about halfway so you have even amount of space on the slots on your screw heads, you can snug it. And I just snug down the 2 middle ones. That's enough support to hold the door. And then you can shut the door and check the gap between the top and the bottom and see if that's how you want it. You can slide the door up and down, maybe depending on how high up on the wall that you mount it. You can change your gap. And then you're going to mount your other door. Close the other door. Check and make sure that the gap is the same. Now, it should be the same because we squared up the cabinet. But if it's not, you can move either door however you want. Snug the 2 middle ones. Once you get it all adjusted, then all you're going to do is come back, tighten your 2 middle screws all the way. And like I said, quarter turn past just getting tight, or these will strip up very easily. And then you can finish tightening up the top and the bottom. Close up your doors and then double check that your gap is the same on both doors. And that's it. I hope you guys learned something from watching the video, and hope you guys like a couple of tips that I showed you on bending the tabs down and sliding it all together. I'm probably going to do a review on these cabinets in a little while. I've had some out in my other garage and been pretty happy with them. So thank you guys for watching.